Beautiful Tuesday, and I have Dr. Aaron Chapa with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center here in studio. So share this out. Feel free to ask questions. Let us know what you got going on today. I'm going to kick this on the FM. We're going to have some fun. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. This is Kickstart. My name is Gardy. It's just after 9 o'clock, and I have my good friend and guest, Dr. Aaron Chapa, in studio. Good morning, Dr. Chapa. How are you doing today?
Gardy, good morning to you. Dr. Aaron Chapa here. Glad to be on the show as usual. It's so fun to come out and just, be a voice of health and wellness to those around us. I mean, people need more education. They need to be reminded. They need to be re-reminded, and it's a constant battle, if you will, in the health and wellness world to not fall victim to the amount of opportunity lurking in the shadows. We just left a big shadow lurking experience that people indulged in. Lots of candy exchanges, lots of opportunity to get into that very thing that robs people of good health.
I'm interested to see if there's people, you mentioned it as opportunity. So it's opportunities to make choices. It's a choice, right? You can either make what you know is right, or you can do, what may hurt your body in the long run.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity.
And people think, oh, he's such a party pooper, like when it comes to candy and sugar and whatnot. But it's also when you've gone away from sugar long enough and you start realizing the times that you get into sugar, how your body feels afterwards, you kind of start going, was it worth it? And many people will oftentimes on a detox, for example, they will tell me during the first 3 or 4 days, man, this was really tough. But then day 4, their brain lights up. Mm-hmm. Their body turns on in ways it hasn't turned on. Their mental clarity state is sharp and crisp. And then recall for names, numbers, and words is there. And they're like, I thought it was gone forever. I didn't even want to talk about it because, I didn't want to think about getting older or think about other things getting worse, or I just didn't want to give it any attention. I was just hoping it would just magically go away. They do this detox and they say, wow, this is the first time in years I've felt crisp in the mind, that I've felt energy, like that gust in my sail. And I like to call it the what? The vim, vigor, and the vip. If you can keep those faculties intact, then your body thrives, it ages well, you sleep well, your body recovers well, you're less prone to injury because things are firing all 8 cylinders. You're not, stumbling around in the dark. And when we get into sugar, people don't realize that it can paralyze your immune system for up to 8 hours. And wow. In the world that we live in, with everybody wanting to build a strong immune system, mm-hmm. It's mind-boggling to me that we don't promote health and wellness more when we are so, inundated with a sugar opportunity. And it's an opportunity. I had a lady yesterday, I get into M&M's, peanut butter M&M's. And I'm like, yep, that's going to probably need to go, I mean, the dyes, the high fructose corn syrup, the roasted nuts. I mean, there's nothing of value in the bag. I mean, it's sometimes food, and really probably rarely, it should be a rarely food, right? I mean, it's
M&M's?
Yeah. I mean, they're just, why? And, I know, because they taste phenomenal, right? And I put people into programs that help their body start detoxing and cleansing. And I say detoxing loosely because, we have a 21-day focused detox, but we have our general programs that purge trash out of the cells that are stuck, that can't get out, that are so toxic that the body's not willing to let go of because it's worried that it might circulate back up to the brain or close to the vital organs. And so the body is cautious on what it lets go of. And as we lead people down this road of cleaning up their lifestyle, we're not trying to get them to never indulge in sugar. That's not the answer. We're not trying to get them to live a perfect diet life. It's not real. I don't know a person that can do it sustainably for long periods of time, successfully. I mean, and still have some relative social circle, and mm-hmm. interaction with their family that's real. And so I'm constantly helping people balance that, because it's always amazing to me. We could pull the candy bar out of the right hand, but the left hand will find another source. And that is kind of what I've been observing, is how powerful these bugs are in our body that are synergizing with our body. Our body allows them to live with us. Bacteria, viruses, parasites, yeast. These are what we call the 4 most common immune burdens that people tote around with them. It's when these immune burdens get out of hand that we find symptoms, that we find challenges in our health that we don't like. And I had a lady just yesterday telling me that, and I was telling her, I was like, okay, as we're doing this next process, because we're leading people down what I call the 5 steps to health. So we're always getting people out of what we call the inflamed state. If we can get them out of my body hurts, my body has a headache, my body has these symptoms, these ails, these challenges, these symptom patterns that weren't there a year ago or 2 years ago, but now they're there enough that they're seeking help. We want to move them through those first 3 steps into what we call the I feel good phase. And once we get them there, then we start lifting them into life repair. And that's where we can detox and do cleansing programs. And literally, we have this lady going into this life repair stage, and I told her, I said, now understand, you're going to start craving sugar, and that's okay. We just have to push through that. And again, it's not that we need you to be perfect and you can't ever have sugar again. That's not the answer, but it does indicate where we're at in the process, because we've got to listen to the tales of the body. The body is constantly communicating. And she goes, I said, so you're going to start craving sugar in some other shape and form. If you start cutting this out, you're going to crave it over here. And she goes, you know what? Last night, I told my husband, hey, I want some popcorn with sugar sprinkled over the top.
I've never heard of that, and I'm a big popcorn fan. Sugar on your popcorn.
Sugar,
just a craving.
Just a craving. And I'm like, wowza, there it is. That's the bugs talking. That's the bugs craving. That's the bugs that are lurking in the shadows of your body that are wanting to stay alive and to thrive. And they're looking for vitamins too. They just feed on the very vitamins that cause your cells to deteriorate. And that is something that we want to repair for people, is to see if we can get their body strong enough to outperform the craving. And that's a good place to be. And I've gone through it. I'm going through it. I think I go through it often because I think the bugs are always trying to get the upper hand as my body's, as the master organism, is keeping those guys in check. And that's why I always go back to the Bible with that, because God said, you are to subdue the creepy, crawly thing. This, you know what I mean? The birds of the air, the fish of the sea. And I'm like, wow, God laid it out for us, didn't he? And even down to the microorganisms that live in our bodies that we cannot see. Because, right now on our skin, we've got, laden with different types of, bugs on our system. I was reading this morning, because in our clinical roundtable, we were talking this week, and one of the people brought up there's a fungus in the Amazon that will cause carpenter ants to leave their safe terrain of their hive, their ant pile, and will take them up a tree, hang them about 20 feet off the lower canopy floor, and cause them to clench their teeth into a leaf and leave them there. And and it's the perfect temperature, it's the perfect humidity, it's the perfect environment for the fungus to eat them alive from the inside, and they will sacrifice their body, and it allows the fungus to replicate. It literally takes over, mind control, the ant. And I'm oh my gosh, this isn't sci-fi? What did I just describe is right out of a movie. But the bugs in your body crave and do things like that to our systems. We've seen, there's a book called Your Brain on Parasites, where pathogens have the ability to change patterns of habits in creatures, causing crickets to jump into the lake so that a parasite can make it across the lake. How? By a fish carrying it over there because it ate the cricket. And I'm like, this is like absurd. I mean, I don't want to think like this, you know?
Yeah.
But again, what are all organisms called to do? Be fruitful and multiply, you know?
Survive.
And survive.
Mm-hmm.
But I think too, in hierarchy, like we are the master of those organisms, and we got to keep them under control. Like my legs are shaking because I'm just the idea of bugs, you know, like you're like ooey, you know. But the reality is the healthier you are, and the less you feed the bugs, the less likely they will take over and cause you to pull into the fast food joint. I've had patients describe it as such. It's like my car just drove into the drive-thru, and I had to get that big, burger and big extra-sized drink, and don't forget the extra big fry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you think to yourself, there's nothing made you do that, or did it?
I think that sometimes it's good to have that person, like if you and your wife or you and your family are standing strong together, because you're almost looking for that approval. It's like, okay, I know I have meal prep at home or something healthy, an option over there, but like, hey, you want to just pull in here, and you're just waiting for that one person to say, yeah, okay, boom, that's all the excuse I needed, because I already wanted to anyways. But if you have that person say, no, let's just go and do what we had planned to do, or that's the better option.
Stay to the plan. Stay to the plan. And I think that that's why at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center we paint the picture that we want to be on your side. Like we want to get in the trench with you, and we're working towards your health goals together, because there's power in numbers. The Bible talks about that. There's, a cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. It's good for a man to find a wife to find a husband, because when one is weak, the other can be strong. But you have to have something underneath all of that, shared goals. What is the end goal, shared goal? Because shared goals build unity. It's one of the best marriage principles that my wife and I live by, is we have to have shared goals in order to stay unified, so that we can hold each other accountable. Do we really need to go there? No, we really don't. We can go home and eat. We can spend our money this way, or we can do this. I mean, it's like shared goals will always be a very fruitful part of the unity building experience. And when it comes to health, especially, with the amount of hidden sugars, the amount of starches that convert to sugar, the alcohol that converts to sugar. I mean, the healthy bread options that you were reaching for. I mean, every restaurant you go to, you're going to get either chips or bread of sorts as a appetizer, right? And so what are that? That's all that converts to
sugar.
And sugar feeds bugs, and the bugs then have the ability to take over and get strong because they got a big dose of vitamins, and you didn't do the best job today drinking your water. You didn't do the best job today maximizing your elimination pathways. You didn't do the best job today eating other meals, and you do that day in and day out, week after week, month after month, and then you come down with a seasonal cold or a seasonal flu or whatever. And it's really that simple. I mean, they want to survive and thrive, and you're a nice, warm, moist, protected environment. And if you don't put enough good things in from the outside world into the body to build new tissue, then your tissues are not regenerating, and your tissues aren't coming to a place where they can thrive and hold you together for the lifespan of your vessel. And I want people to know that, hey, if you've got symptom patterns that you weren't genetically born with, whether it's headaches, whether it's allergies, whether you're commonly getting, put on antibiotics, or you find yourself always having injuries, or you got skin issues, or your hormones are wrecked, or you're stressed to the gill, or you can't sleep at night. I mean, the list is long. Pick the symptom, and we can help you understand why your body is experiencing those symptoms, and then paint you a path to help you get out of that, strategically strategizing together to move you from where you are to where you want to be, one bite at a time, one detox at a time, one tissue activation system after another. We just want to turn on body systems after body systems and come back and clean up body systems. And we call that cleansing. We call that detoxing, depending on how aggressive we're being. And it is an amazing thing to watch everything from something crazy like cancer to something as simple as seasonal allergies or even emotional disorders completely resolve whenever we clean up the body appropriately. And so I just get excited because I know that all life starts and stops at the cellular level. It is a fundamental truth. And nutrition is the driver. It's the driving force. I can take nutrition in to feed the bugs, or I can take nutrition in to feed my body. Which one do I want to do? Which one do you want to do? It's your life. It's your health. It's
your choice.
Just like you said earlier, it's a choice, and there's always an opportunity cost. I remember one holiday season when my mom lived back in Humble. Me and my kids were real little at the time, but we went on a little, around her neighborhood Halloween experience, and we I was like, I think it was Skittles. I think that's my favorite candy. I don't know anymore.
You think because you don't have it? Taste the rainbow.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
the commercials are funny.
Right,
Taste the rainbow. Skittles.
It's got to be because I remember I would squeeze them and break them. I wanted to see if my fingers were strong enough to break the shell, and then I would just throw it in my mouth and just let it, sensationalize.
It's
my
exercise,
taste buds.
so you're getting some physical activity out of it, crushing them.
That's right, crushing them with the grip strength of your fingers. It's an important facet of heart function, by the way. Just as a quick aside. So yeah, there you go. So I'd throw them back. I had only a party pack size, and the next day I had sore throat. And within 20 minutes of doing it, I had a runny nose. And I go, what's that all about? And I realized, wow, sugar can affect you that fast? Yes, it can. Within a moment's time, it can begin the paralyzation of your immune system. So the reason we're talking about the immune system today technically wasn't even on my docket to talk about today. It's funny. I was going to talk about sleep because we're about to go on a time change, and maybe we'll get there. But I think it's important because we all just, passed this big treat candy season night that starts what season, Gardy?
It starts the holiday season, right?
No, it starts the flu season.
Flu season.
Yeah. October 31st marks the night before flu season begins, and that's because people paralyze their immune system. And do they just eat that candy that one night?
Well, I hope not. It's kind of stretched out a little bit. There's tons of candy, so if you eat it all that one night, it's going to be a bad.
It's going to be a bad experience.
Terrible.
You're right. But what if you eat enough of it every day for the next week? And your immune system is just completely and utterly taxed every day. What's the likelihood that you may come down with something?
It seems like it'd be high.
Higher, right?
Yes,
for
very
sure.
high.
And so it's not rocket science. So this is the week where we want to start refocusing on, okay, you had some candy. Even people that I thought were like anti-candy came in and were like, oh, yeah, I had some candy. You go, what?
Your wife? What are you doing?
No, yeah, that's right. Whoa! I thought we shared goals.
These goals.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's funny because we are all dealing with the same thing in some capacity. We are craving sugar. We are craving these inflammatory foods and processed foods, and it's almost like our body gets a little bit of a emotional high off of it. It gets a physical lift in energy, and you kind of get like all jazzed and jacked up, and you feel good. And then if you look at the late night pictures of Halloween and you see the kids' faces all droopy, it's not because they're tired. It's because they literally are cracked out on sugar, and they're coming down, and they just haven't thought about having another fix yet. So you catch them right in that window. That's what we should have done. Is we should have gathered all the kids back up and taken the same photo after the party when they start taking parts of their costume mask off, like Dash takes his Waldo glasses off. Dude, you can't. You got to find Waldo. You got to stay in character.
Yeah.
But you start seeing people's hats come off, the glasses come off, they take off the outer layer of the jacket cold, and they don't look quite the same as they did when they were, all dressed out in the beginning. And but I also wonder what is happening biochemically. So the sugar's ramping up their metabolism, so they get hot. They're out walking around, so they get hot, and so they're not drinking water, so they're getting dehydrated. And there's so many things that we could look at and go, oh yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting that we don't take inventory of all those little things. And people go, well, do you have to? Well, if you're going to indulge in the amount of sugar you just took in, yes, I think so. I think you have to be mindful that what you do to your body will come with a price. And so it's always a conversation with my family. Hey, how are those bowels moving? Hey, have you had enough water? Hey, did you eat a good breakfast today? Before you indulged in that whatever. And so we always want to make sure that it's not about eliminating completely, because it's not real. It's about managing and doing enough of the other healthy factors that allow your body to not crash, from the onslaught of sugar. And it's an important part of the conversation further, because we're going into the holiday season, as you said, and there's some treats coming there too, isn't there?
Oh, there's all kinds of stuff during Thanksgiving, all the pies, all the desserts.
What's your favorite pie, Gardy?
I like pecan pie.
Oh,
pecan pie.
Where's the best pecan pie you've ever had?
The best pecan pie I've ever had. So my brother-in-law, he makes pecan pie. I'm not picky whenever it comes to food in general, which is sometimes a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. But man, you can get the pie from like Walmart. You can get it from HEB. You can get it from my brother-in-law Josh. He makes really good homemade pies, and I like, that's mine, pecan pie.
It's funny you call me an anti-candy junkie. That's funny.
Who called you an anti-candy junkie?
I think that's what maybe I put that together with what. It says...
It's like, I didn't call you I just said anti-candy.
Oh, okay. I would try that, anti-candy.
Someone said drunk on sugar.
Yeah, drunk on sugar. It's so funny to see. I mean, no cravings. Please, don't do it to me.
Yeah.
So, no, it's awesome, because we all have stories. I mean, I think it's fun. So, yeah, for me, pie. Oh, I used to not like, pecan pie growing up. Never liked it until I actually tasted it, and it's so delightful.
So you didn't like it, but you just never really
I never tasted
gave it a chance.
Yeah, because
just
it looked
pecans?
weird.
That's weird,
yeah,
right?
It was weird looking. And so now I could eat me a mean pecan pie. And then
it's nothing but sugar. Like,
oh yeah,
when
that's
you
what
see
makes
them
it
made.
so good. That's what makes it so good. That's what I tell my kids. I said, "Do you not realize that is a pure vat of sugar? Like, you will love it.
Yeah,
you'll love that. Why won't you eat that? You'll eat that, but you won't eat that."
Yeah.
It's so crazy to me. And I'm trying to think. My mom makes an apple crisp pie with fresh spiraled apples and caramel drizzled over the top and crushed pecans. And I mean, that's a sensationalizing experience, and I'm like, wow. I mean, it's just so amazing what the holiday season brings. Now, will I indulge in a pie slice or two? Probably. I mean, I've done holidays where I've had no sweets. I've had holidays where I've indulged and made it all gluten-free, dairy-free.
But which were better for you, Dr. Chapa? Where you have no sweets, or where you have a little bit of sweets, or like just go crazy with sweets?
Oh, I never like to go crazy with sweets, because it actually gives me I'll get a headache. Like,
yeah.
I just don't want it. Like, talk about being drunk on sugar or whatever that whoever drunk Love Jazz said. Thanks, Love Jazz. That's awesome. And that feeling for me is not. That's why people crash.
You crash.
I used to buy into it's the tryptophan from the turkey. Listen, you didn't eat enough turkey. You know what I mean? You ate too much food. Like, the third plate of food probably did you in. The second plate of food probably did you in. Because if you look at, that's the thing that our Macrofix program has really taught me to see in myself as well as in patients is we have guardrails that we need to live by. And so you don't need, one of those oval shaped plates that is where you can't see white anymore. You just see food
Those are
hanging
the
off
best.
the edges.
It's the plates are like this big. It's maximum food.
I know.
Someone's done the science and the experiments like
And
this.
yes, exactly. This is the
size.
perfect size and 2 servings.
Perfect.
And I mean, we go to restaurants, and my mom will often, if she comes with me, I will split food with her everywhere we go. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a 6-ounce steak or a fish fillet. We're going to split it because there really is no reason to indulge in the amount of food that most of these restaurants put out. And then it saves money, so it's a win-win. But I mean, it's really comes down to if you eat an oversized meal, it stresses your body out more than it benefits it. Now, will your body leverage it? Yes, it will. But I mean, why? Why crash after a meal? If you crash after a meal, you get sleepy after a meal. Because they always joke around at lunchtime, right? When you come back you have to go to sit in the seminar after lunch and
take
need
a nap.
That's
Yeah.
right. They don't call them afternoon siestas for nothing.
Right.
When you see the lawn guys out just chilling with propped up against a house,
The tree.
yeah,
In the
completely
shade,
out
wherever the
cold.
shade is.
I mean, I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I think we should all kind of indulge in that siesta business because I think there is some value in resting during the day to crank out a productive back into the day, and but I think portion controls are an important part of recognizing when it's okay to cheat, learning how to assess your body. Hey, if you got a sore throat this morning, today, well, it's probably because of the candy you ate yesterday and the candy you ate Sunday night. No doubt about it. It's probably because your bowels aren't moving like they should be. There's assessment tools. If you haven't had a bowel movement at 10 a.m., it is coming up on. Guess what? You're late. Your body is carrying around extra burden and trash that are toxic. And remember, toxins are just nothing more than substances your body cannot use. So we want to make sure that we keep your toxic burden down, and we want to maximize your flushing capabilities, urine and bowel, and make sure everything's flowing like it's supposed to. If you haven't slept good the last 2 nights, tossing and turning, you're not recovering well. You're not detoxing well. Your liver is stressed. If you're hot during the night, these are indicators that your body is working too hard. So maybe today would be a day where you do lots of water. This would be a day where you kind of incorporate the intermittent fasting game, where you do maybe an 8-hour window of food, and then you fast the rest of the day. So now you've got 16 hours of resting your digestive tract, letting your body catch up and clean out, crowbar out some of that excess filth, funk, and junk that you got into. Because some of that stuff can slow down bowel flow. And when the bowels slow down, your body sends a lot of blood down there trying to fix it. So your mental output, guess what? Goes out the window. Your creative juices, gone. Your mental vim, vigor, and vip, your ability to recall names, numbers, and words and focus on the task at hand, you're chasing squirrels. And so we want to help you maximize what it is that you're doing. Well, the only way to do that is to inspect. So at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we're going to teach you how to inspect yourself and maximize your efficiency based on what your body's giving you as tales. What signs are you looking at? If your eyes are glassed over when you wake up and they're all puffy, that's an indication that detoxification is not happening well and things are backed up in your lymph system. You're going to be more prone to a headache. You're going to be more prone to tension in the neck. You're going to be more prone to having that afternoon fatigue because your body is like dragging, through the day. We want to help you bypass the drag, so things that you can do. So I find recognizing how your body is responding to its environment helps you dictate what you need to do to course correct. It's course correction, just like an airplane. An airplane's never on track. It's always course correcting. A little this way, a little this way, a little this way. And we don't feel it because of state-of-the-art technology. But just like our cars, we don't feel it. I have an old Volkswagen Beetle, and I don't like getting on the freeway with it. I mean, it only goes 58 miles an hour, 64 if I'm going down a hill. But it is literally I mean, the wheel does this, and a big, and you can have a little battery operated car shoot past you, and I can feel the car go, and I'm like, good gravy, man. And, I mean, I was driving to Galveston was stressful, it wasn't enjoyable. I liked getting down there and tinkering around, but I mean, getting there, it's only a 30-minute drive, but the technology. It allows us not to feel those course corrections. Your body's technology can also help you sense course correction that is needed. So and what is that? You wake up feeling sluggish. You can't pull yourself out of bed. That's your liver's inability to do its job during the night. Your lymphatics are backed up and plugged up, and it's taking you, an atomic bomb to get you out of bed. That's not normal. You should be able to, after a night of rest, pop up like a Pop-Tart and feel your best. If not, it's your liver. Your liver is the giver of good life, good energy, and the Vim, Vigor, and Vip for the day. And if you don't have it, it's because it is backed up. It's congested. It's got 1,500 pathways that it's responsible for, and it didn't get everything done yesterday. Well, that'll pile up quick. That's like bad interest on a credit card. It's just health interest paying against you instead of you waking up in more debt financially. You're in more debt nutritionally, and that will cost you in the long run. Remember, an ounce of prevention is worth
a pound of cure.
A pound of cure. We want to make sure that people grab hold of the little things. Drink water today. Like somebody on our text thread says, I drink plenty of water. That's awesome. But what if you do drink plenty of water and you're still dehydrated? Oh, well, that means that your minerals are low. We got to make sure that we maximize mineral repletion. So we're going to be maximizing your mineral loading capacity. We can look at through zinc test. We can look at in your blood test. We can look at symptoms. Like if you get Charlie horses in the legs, that's a classic indication for mineral glitches. If you have restlessness all the time where you seem like you almost feel your muscles like aching and throbbing. Those are mineral deficiencies. People accuse me of like shaking my legs a bunch, and a lot of it's just because I'm excited about the giving information out and educating, and so I get really fired up and excited, and I have to sit and talk to a stagnant microphone, so something's got to wiggle because I get fired up and excited. And so people that see me live on YouTube, they go, why is he wiggling? He's got restless legs. No,
someone called you out for that, for real?
Oh, every day they harass me about that. It's funny, and but I just call it, it's my nervous energy. But I don't have agitation in the legs, right? Mm-hmm. There's a difference between your legs throbbing, cramping, and aching versus having a good, healthy amount of energy that you're trying to put out, and so this is one of the ways that I actually express my creative juices is to get on the air and talk through lifestyle practices, things that you can do to live better, that you can teach your kids to do to live better. I mean, I get so excited when a mom emails me or calls the office and says, "Oh, I got this, and this going on, and I have this, and this. What do I do?" Great. We dose with this. We dose with this. We dose with this, and we make sure that we have the dosing in place because they already got the tools at home. Mm-hmm. They just need some practice on how to use the tool, but they got the tool, and I get excited when people have the tools. That means we did our job to educate parents on how to take care of themselves or their kids.
So here's a question. This one's from Lori. Thank you for asking. She said, what can I do to lower my cholesterol naturally? I'm within a normal range, but high for a type 1 diabetic. My doctor prescribed a pill, but I don't want to take it.
Yeah, I agree with you. The pills will definitely cause more liver stress, potentially poisoning the liver, congesting the liver, stressing the liver in a way that it can't keep up. So the answer would be we want to look at that diet deeper. Typically with a type 1 diabetic, we know that insulin is a challenge, and so we're having to take exogenous amounts of insulin, and so we have to get the body to regulate sugar more effectively. The sugar is what's driving cholesterol. Right now, if your cholesterol is in a healthy, normal range, we would want to see what that range is. We want to look at it a little bit closer and look at what HDL numbers are, LDL numbers are, and triglyceride numbers are. If the triglycerides are between 70 and 85, then we know that you're not overindulging in carbohydrate. And so you don't have to necessarily get into sugar as a type 1 diabetic. You probably already know how that can affect your system. But you might indulge in too much starch. It could be too much bread. It could be too many chips. And depending on how long you've been type 1 diabetic, you already know I can eat this much and I need this much insulin. You've learned how to manage your blood sugar. But we want to still be looking at triglyceride numbers, and we want to look at the HDL, make sure that they're 65 to 70 would be a good healthy range. And then and make sure that the ratio, your total cholesterol to HDL ratio, is below a 3.1. And so if your numbers are there, then what you're doing is working for you. And so let's say that I had a patient come in and their cholesterol is 225, right? Well, in today's modern world, that's high, but their ratio was perfect. Their triglycerides are perfect. I ain't worried about that 225. That means nothing. It's totally fine because their body is regulating everything at top-notch performance. But if they came in at a 240 and their HDL to cholesterol ratio was total cholesterol to HDL ratio was say 5.5, well, we know that there's cardiovascular risk. Then we'd be looking at other numbers like high sensitive CRP, C-reactive protein. That's a systemic or full body inflammatory response. So we want to decrease your starches. We want to say, all right, if you're eating a full potato in a serving, we need to cut that to a half potato, or maybe switch it to a sweet potato, or maybe a quarter might even be your number. So I don't know exactly. We'd have to go into more history, but we want to decrease bread, rice, cereal, pasta, potatoes in frequency of the day and amount. So you wouldn't have a big baked potato for dinner like that you get at a barbecue joint. You would want to cut that in quarter if it's at a barbecue joint, maybe a half at a normal a different restaurant. I mean, you got to kind of know where you're getting your stuff, right? I mean, a spud at a barbecue joint is very different than a spud at a seafood joint, that I've seen. Maybe you're getting into, depending on how out of balance your system is, and it doesn't seem like it sounds like it is. If your numbers, you think they look good at the moment, then you can probably afford starchy vegetables, squashes, nightshades, onions, things of that nature that might be a little bit higher in sugar, and you won't have a problem. But maybe you could cut back on the dressings. You know what I mean? Like maybe I like to put dressing on the side. So because every dressing you buy is going to either have bad oil, canola oil, con oil is what it's really called, and it congests and clogs up the liver. Okay, that's not good. And then it always has sugar in it. Well, even if it's cane sugar, it's still sugar. And you having the diabetic background, you should put that on the side, and you should dip your lettuce or your vegetables or whatever into it so that you're minimizing exposure to having a substance drowned in that stuff. Does that make sense?
It does.
And so that would lower your cholesterol numbers. We could incorporate more herbs, in your cooking. You could cook with more garlic. You could cook with more turmeric. You could use onion powders, celery seed extracts, coriander. I mean, there's a lot of different cool spices. Indian food spices are really fun when it comes to. I think that's why a lot of times I'll see people that do live high starch lifestyles, but they have high spice lifestyles, and they manage a lot of the inflammation in their body that we find in bad oils and or bad sugars. Primarily, we can see even in type 1 diabetics, blood sugar management pretty quick, pretty easy, just cutting back the starches, the breads, the cereals, the pastas, and the potatoes, and so hopefully you're not in a situation where you can't ever indulge in those things. But I've got those patients that their system is so whacked out and so sensitive to any blood sugar change that they have to just avoid things that have a higher propensity to raise blood sugar. Good question. I love cholesterol conversation, and we do want to avoid the statins. Now, we would come in and support the liver, okay, with milk thistle, or we use several products, SP Cleanse, Liver Force, Liviplex, to help rebuild the liver and support those 1,500 pathways. And that'll also help manage your blood sugar and manage the cholesterol.
Awesome. Thank you for asking. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. I'm talking to Dr. Aaron Chapa with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, out in League City. And so there was another comment. This is from Jazz. She said, my health goal is to join the Y and swim some laps, but I guess they shut that one down. But I always, getting active seems like it's, controlling the diet, getting active hand in hand, just trying to get control of your health. But swimming is one of the best exercises that I've heard because it's better on your joints. Whenever you run, sometimes if you have knee issues or anything like that, that can just kind of beat up your feet. But swimming, Dr. Chapa, do you do much swimming at all?
I don't do much swimming at all. Not that I don't like swimming. I think you're right. I think that swimming is one of the best exercises for people that have joint issues. You can do so much good joint mobility work and movement exercise patterns, swimming exercises, treading water to help maximize health goals in the water. I like all kinds of training. I like cross training. I like so we'll do at the end of a workout routine will be heavy weights, and then we'll go and do athletic work. We'll do box jumps, or we'll do sprints, or we'll do high knee skips, or things like that to force the body into an athletic stage of development, not just pressing weight. I know you like to roll. Tell me, how many times have you left the floor and not been just saturated with sweat? Because you're rolling around. That's high intensity exercises.
It's your sweat, their sweat, everybody's sweat.
Well,
You're just covered.
And there's that, and so. But there is something to getting a variety of exercising opportunity in. So whether you're on a bike, whether you're in a pool, whether you're on a Stairmaster, whether you're on elliptical, whether you're sprinting, skipping, walking, I think that we just need to remember the old adage: if the dude don't move,
the dude don't groove.
The dude don't groove. And we got to make sure that the dude is always grooving, so we got to keep you moving. And that's the whole goal. And biochemically, we want to take an assessment of everything that we're doing from the outside, world. It could be blood work. It could be a health survey. We have a ton of great health surveys, for example, on our website at justlivewell.com, and that we find valuable. They give you a little snippet of vision into what it looks like whenever you're assessing sleep, energy, allergies. People just don't realize how much their body is constantly doing. I had a guy fill out a brain assessment form. Wanted to look at his neurotransmitters. Wanted to look at his sugar handling. And sugar handling is sugar production or sugar management. How does your body use the sugar in the peripheral system, your extremities, fight or flight responses, or your day-to-day activities? And what are those neurotransmitters doing? And it's amazing how much we have conversation around sugar, which is diet oftentimes driven. We can fix liver function. Biochemically, there could be a glitch with the liver. People always, think blood sugar and pancreas. Well, yes, but there's other systems that are producing digestive support to maximize and make sure that it's not just the pancreas's job to manage that blood sugar. It's our choice to manage the blood sugar. It's our body's desire to keep it managed as long as we're not, over-consuming or getting into the wrong stuff or avoiding the inflammatory foods. I'm always amazed at how simple it is to take out a food that can cause people to have reactions. The number one mucus-forming food that I've ever seen is milk products: milk, cheese, yogurt, sour cream, ice cream. These things always wreck people's sinuses. And I'm like, guys, just cut back, cut it out, stop it.
Here's a comment. Can I read this from Conrad? It's kind of on that topic there, I suppose. But Conrad said his health goal: my goal is to be able to not have lactose intolerance issues. He said it started after having a ruptured appendix 8 years ago, which is interesting because you'll hear people getting a virus or something like that. You remove something, it's like, hey, I wasn't having this issue till
this happened.
Right?
Right. And so, when we look at intestinal issues, you can almost be assured there's a dairy component. And so he had some sort of infection, some sort of congestion. So like when the small intestine reaches the large intestine, there's this little tail of lymphoid tissue where called the appendix. And his cecum got clogged up. It backed up into his appendix, and the lymph tissue couldn't keep up with it. And anytime the lymph tissue gets stagnant, it's almost always going to get infected. So in his case, he got infected. Well, they had to go in and do a surgery. Well, guess what? The minute that air hits any part of our intestinal system, now they might have done a laparoscopic, and so less air exposure, but you penetrate the tissue from the outside, even for a microsecond, a millisecond, there's still going to be some level of scarring through oxidation. And so some part of his tissues could have been oxidized or scarred, and that it now creates an area of hiccup. He's got like this permanent little area that he can't make that hairpin turn like he used to. His digestive system is having a hard time in that particular area, and anytime food goes by there, it slows down. So normally things run at a 6-lane highway speed. Well, now things aren't running at a 6-lane highway speed. They're at a 3 or a 2 or a 1, depending on how much oxidation and or scarring has manifested. And so he could easily now bring in, say, dairy product, and could it be the lactose? It could be. But what if it's the casein? Probably more like the casein. The protein isn't being digested well, and it's stressing out his digestive tract, slowing down the tissues, leaving room for irritation, leaving room for inflammation, and that body then goes down there to try to resolve it. It doesn't like a 1-lane highway. It wants a 6-lane highway, and the body's going to do what it can. Well, when it does that, he might be getting belly pains. He might be having skin rashes. He may be having allergies. He may be having belly pain, some other symptom that he didn't have before because he was, I don't want to say violent. It's so bad to say like he was violated, but he was violated. His insides they're not supposed to be exposed to the elements. They're not, nothing is supposed to come in from the outside and cut things off, but it did. And that was a necessary part for him when he had a ruptured appendix. I mean, that's life-threatening. And so it's necessary sometimes, right? But is it something that we can't work with? Well, yeah, it's something we can work with, but it might mean he's got to be willing to cut some things out or do some things different because he had a surgery. Every surgery that you have, there's a health opportunity cost that is potentially lost, and or potentially new choices are going to have to be made to offset that surgical intervention. Does it make sense?
It does, yeah.
And so some people go, man, I've done everything right, and I just don't want to have to make those decisions. I get it. I don't either. But you still got to pay your bills. And if you don't pay your bills, they'll come take your house. They'll take your car. You'll find yourself in debt colossal. We don't want it. And your body is the same way. There is a nutritional debt you can find yourself. And so the goal is to go, okay, well, hey, what if it's where's the silver lining? Is it that bad if we just pull dairy out? It really, I live a dairy-free life. It isn't that bad. And there's so many other ways that I can feed my tissues and get things working for me. The healthier I've gotten, I feel like I'm even more able to get into some of that stuff from time to time and not have a complete and utter blow up. Isn't that good news?
Yeah.
So it's not like a forever. It's long enough to get the inflammation down.
You have like a health bank.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And you build up that health bank. Your insurance health bank goes up, and all of a sudden now your body can, write a check without it bouncing.
Here's another comment from Carla. She wanted to know if something similar happens whenever you have C-sections. She specifically said about 5 C-sections.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the tissue was cut, exposure to the inside. That's potentially a problem. And so we want to neutralize scarring. One of the best ways, because anytime there's a scar on the outside of the body, anything that crosses the midline. So if I were to not physically cut you in half from head to foot, and anything that crosses the midline of our body from left to right, is now potentially disruptive to the nervous system. Scars that cross the midline, tattoos across the low back, tattoos right in the midline, episiotomy scars, any type of break in that midline skin tissue can create a disruption in how the nervous system moves information downstream to the peripheral tissues. So if my brain says foot move, I need that communication to happen fairly quickly, and then the feedback loops that go back up and tell the brain the job was done. So the scars will disrupt that. We use wheat germ oil, sesame seed oil, ultra-saturated fatty acids topically on these scarring areas to neutralize the scars. It'll improve blood flow to those areas, so you'll improve the overall appearance of a scar. And more importantly, you take stress off the nervous system so that the brain and body can jive and communicate more like it should have in the first place. So we've got to be mindful of scarring. Scarring is one of the barriers to healing that keeps people from being their best. I've seen just doing scar treatments resolve all kinds of problems for people. I mean, all we were doing is we're just taking burdens off the body, taking burdens off the body, taking burdens off the body. The more burdens we can get off the body, the easier the body can thrive. Isn't that the news that we want to hear? It doesn't matter what disease you have, condition you have, diagnosis you have, how many drugs you're on, your body still wants to heal. Your body will heal, and that's good news. And I love that because I want people to be encouraged, not discouraged. I want them to know that there's hope, not to live in a state of hopelessness, because there's something that they can do. If you want to get in the trenches and you want to learn at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, come in. This is what we do. We unturn stones that are in your health state. We know people come in for weight loss, but we find that there's a thyroid condition that's driving that. They come in for allergies, and we find there's an underlying focus point where we've got to do a detox or clean out their lymph or something. They come in with skin problems, and we've got to take care of the liver and the bowels. They come in and we're working on headaches, for example, and then all of a sudden we get derailed with a cold. Well, in their history, they might reach to drugs like antibiotics or steroids. No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to blow up the gut with an atomic bomb. We want to come in and support that immune system, support all the mucous membranes in the GI tract so that they aren't a dry desert, empty wasteland in their GI tract where nothing can develop and nothing can grow. We want to make sure that the body is in a place where it thrives and with vibrancy. It thrives with energy, and that the system and the tissues begin to upregulate. They begin to turn on, so to speak, and they begin to maximize efficiency day in and day out. And then instead of being stuck in I'm in the accelerated aging curve, I'm in the thriving curve. And now you're the 65-year-old heading to 95 in the best years of your life, feeling amazing.
And that would be nice.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And that's the plan, and that is what we're after at Living Well. Every month we teach a class in our for different conditions and different stories that people go through, because people have thyroid problems, people have immune problems, people have allergies, people have sleep challenges. We want to teach people how to live be better, stay better. Education is the best way to do that. So make sure you tune in, and you're always up on the dates coming. We do stuff all year long. I think except in December. We don't do our class in December because so many holiday functions. But we have one this month in November. We have our Macrofix class, every 2 weeks that we like to run and teach people food-based coaching and help them understand the parameters so that they get it that they can't just eat what they want when they want. I mean, you can, but you can't look like you want if you eat what you want when you want.
Or feel like it.
And you sure as heck won't feel good if you eat what you want when you want. You've got to learn the principles, the practices. And I get excited about teaching those principles and practices at Living Well. Or my team gets excited about teaching these practices and principles, because that's where the magic is. That's where the rubber meets the road. When they leave and they know what they can eat, what they can't eat, what they're going to experience when they eat that particular burdenous food, what they can do to reverse it, like jumping on a detox. I've got 4 ladies right now jumping into a detox before Thanksgiving. Why? People go, that's crazy. No, it's not. It's brilliant, actually.
Preparing, right?
Yeah, you're preparing their fields. They're going to be better for this month of November. They're going to enjoy Thanksgiving. They'll carry the practices into December. They'll be less likely to indulge in the garbage. Their body's going to feel good. Their mind's going to feel good, and they're going to be able to thrive in a world that is telling them, "Oh no, you can't thrive because there's sugar present." They'll be able to walk past the donut. They'll be able to walk past the pastry and be proud of themselves for doing so. I mean, it's a win-win. And those are the habits that their kids will see, their spouses will see, and it's always amazing to me to watch because mom makes 80% of all the health decisions for the family. Okay, maybe not in your home, but 80% of the time, the female makes those calls. And so if we can educate mom, if we can get mom fired up about health and wellness, the kids are going to see it, and they're going to be, I want to eat like mom. I want to do what mom's doing. Dad will get jealous because everybody else feels good and he doesn't, so he'll jump on the wagon, and he'll start feeling better. And then all of a sudden, you got a family now that is making a generational shift. And that generational shift is really what we're after, because I want to see dads thrive. I want to see heart disease not be number one on the docket. I want to see, that longevity and energy for dads to go out and coach their kids, be with their kids, play more with their kids, to be an active part of that upbringing, and not feel bad because they have no energy, or they have headaches, or they're not managing stress well. I mean, there's so many little venues and avenues that people can really jump into when it comes to health decisions and practices.
And that's why you were talking about, the dads, like helping men and dads and families. That's kind of why you started it, at least.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, for me, I was on a hunt to find out the underlying cause of heart disease. That's what killed my father. And he was a good patient. He did everything he was told to do. He went to the cardiac rehab. He was on all the drugs that they told him to take. He was on a bunch, and lo and behold, it didn't work for him. And so I was like, I want to figure this out. And it led me down a path and helped me see that what the American Heart Association teaches is not the best diet for hearts. It's just a diet, but it's not a good diet for heart disease. And so we have to change the game. And so I'm after saving dads, because I get it. And spouses don't want to lose their husbands. Kids don't want to lose their dads. Dads want to feel good and don't want to feel weird palpitations in their chest or deep sternal chest pains, or they don't want to. They just don't. I mean, I know I'm going to heaven, but I'm just not ready to go to heaven today. I mean, I guess I'd be cool with it if that's what the Lord's plan was for me. But He knows the deadline. He knows the expiration date. We have to do what we can in the now and be ready for the call, but we don't know when that call is. So I want to live better, be better, feel as best that I can each and every day while I'm on this planet. And I want to help as many people get that message so that they can have the same vision. Remember, we talked about shared goals build unity. I want a tribe of people that believe in health and wellness so much that we're changing what we sell at grocery stores in our local areas, that we're more buying from local farmers. And that way people can really experience the true value of longevity. That means how long do you live? And vibrancy, vitality. How much energy can you put into the day that you've been given? Because today is the day that you're here. Maximize it. Be the best you can be. So at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we're so excited. We're on many different social media platforms. We encourage you to look us up. Just Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on Apple Music. And you can go back and listen to all these shows week after week. We've got, I don't know, hundreds, a couple hundred of them up there, I think.
Maybe at least 1 million.
I hope so.
At least.
Or we need 1 million views. So make sure you like it, share it, and help us get to that. That'd be awesome. But people want this information. They need this information. So as you have questions, if you catch us live, you'll get live responses. So we want to encourage you to take advantage of the live show. And it's every week, 9 to 10 on KHEA Radio. And we're just so thankful. We're on digital radio platforms. And we also leave those for you to revisit in the time whenever you have to come back to it. So God bless you guys today. Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center is here to help you live better, be better, and stay better. So make sure that you tune into our classes, that you tune in every week, you learn something, share with us what you're learning, share with others what you're learning, and get people active in choosing better, because we can make a difference for our families. We can make a difference in the generations to come, and I'm just excited to be a part of it with you, and so is my team. So God bless you guys, and have a fantastic and lovely day.
This is KHEA Radio 99.5.